Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you feeling overwhelmed by lack of capital, growth challenges, or personal branding? You are not alone. UCS Advisors is here for you. We're professional capital raising advisors committed to helping you secure funding and grow your business. Are you ready to impress investors? Check your investor readiness with our free 45-second quiz at ucsquiz.com. We believe in you. Visit ucsquiz.com and start your success journey. And remember, always be willing to achieve your greatness.
We're so happy to announce our brand new partnership with the New Jersey Lottery. As their slogan goes, anything can happen in Jersey, and that is so true. Welcome to Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We are here in Tinton Falls, New Jersey today at Nettie's with Chris Calabrese. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
Yes, hello. Good to be here. This is not, even though now we're actually like doing an episode with you, not the first time we've had you on the show.
Right.
For Red Gables, we gave it a shot to get that promoted, and then Mother Nature had some other plans, and we got hosed out, but it's all good.
Hosed out, maybe dodged a bullet. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, now I'm excited for it to be in the spring. I was like a little bit concerned because I was like, I didn't know if I could make it the following weekend. And then when I saw that it was springtime, and I was like, okay, like now I'm feeling better about that.
Yeah.
Like block out that weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll give everybody plenty of time to prepare. I think if we shoot for spring, we still don't have a date officially yet.
Sure.
But we're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. And now we have like more time to, do more content stuff.
Right.
All that.
I think we'll just keep throwing like little back. I mean, you missed the one we had because you were driving to the airport. Is that right?
Yeah, I do a lot of that. I did that today at like 5 o'clock this morning.
But, it was fun and it was good content. Oh, you took your wife to the airport this morning?
Girlfriend to the airport, this morning.
Yeah.
That's why it's been a long day. So she had like a 6 a.m. flight. Then I drove down, did the Love Oysters this morning.
Yep.
And then turned around, came back, had lunch, left my camera battery at the restaurant, and now I'm here recording this with you. So it's been a day.
You left it at the lunch restaurant, or you left it down in
I left it at the lunch restaurant.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
at least
it's close.
it's 10 minutes.
Right.
It's okay. I have a backup now, which is great.
Okay, good.
All right. But enough about that.
Okay.
So let's learn a little about you, because I really don't. I mean, we've talked a bunch, but I barely know anything about you. You're like very mysterious.
Yeah.
So
keep it.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna blow that all out right now. So you're a Jersey guy, right?
Born and raised.
Born and raised where? Like down this way?
Born in Freehold, raised in Freehold, and then came up this way later in life, like Atlantic Highlands for like 10 years in my 20s to 30s, and that's kind of where I got my chops, I guess. And then we moved up here, Jersey City for a brief stint. Me and my wife got married, and we moved to, next to Asbury Park in Interlaken. And we opened up this restaurant.
Cool.
Yeah.
So food.
Yeah.
Was that always like a thing that like young Chris was like really into? Was it like a family thing? Was it kind of just like at one point you just got a job and then now cut to here we are? We could just end the episode.
Yep. No, it was, I guess it was I don't know, like my grandmother was a cook.
Yeah.
My mother cooked a little bit, but like my grandmother, Nettie, Antoinette Colombo, she was a cook, and she, not professionally, but she like always cooked for the holidays. She cooked for like 15 plus people and would make all my favorites like lasagnas and just like pasta dishes and meatballs and Sunday sauce and all those things. We used to travel there on Sundays. The family would get together and we would eat, and she would do all the cooking. And I guess I didn't really think much of it. It was just like a normal behavior. When I went to college in Rhode Island, and when I was up there, I was still opening up jars of sauce. So in my 18, 19 years old, I'm still opening jars of sauce, and I'm like doctoring it up with spices and stuff like
as one does.
Like thinking like I was doing something. And then I was like, Graham, how do you make your sauce? Like from tomatoes, and I remember calling her up, and she gave me like her recipe, which is literally the simplest thing in the world. It's tomatoes, olive oil, and salt, basil.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And that was it. I mean, that kind of like opened up my eyes, like how I think, like, not even realizing about how simple it could be. And she gave me her lasagna recipe, and I used to make lasagnas up in college, to impress my friends and feed everybody and get us together. Like, I think I loved that energy, but ultimately I went to school for economics and finance, and I was trying to work on Wall Street, and I did. I was spending my summer breaks and winter breaks on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and then the market kind of crashed in 2001, and they started closing that stuff down, and I was out of work for a year. So I'm 21 years old. I'm out of work. I don't really know what to do. I'm living at home. And I was like, I need a job.
Yeah.
Like, unemployment was running out. I was like, I need to do something. I did like to cook, and I was like, let me just walk into a couple of restaurants and see if they would put me in the kitchen and train me, and like, I'll just do whatever they ask.
Yeah.
And I was all over the place on First Avenue in Atlantic Highlands. I mean, name it, I was there. But where I ended up spending my first real job was at a bar. It was like a dive bar called Castaways. You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
we're here for it.
So so I walk in there, and it's literally like a pretty, seedy dive bar. You know what I mean?
Like a dive bar. We just did a whole episode on our 10 favorite dive bars in New Jersey.
I'm not sure this one would have made the list, but and it's not around anymore. But like at the time, I walked in during the day, and there's this huge bouncer, just like big dude, looked like Bam Bam Bigelow, tattoos, shaved head. Like, this guy was crazy, gnarly looking. And I'm, again, kid, like, don't really know how to cook. And I walk in, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you need any help in the kitchen? And he grabs the menu, and he shows me the menu, and he's like, look at this menu. You know how to cook everything on here? So I'm looking it over, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I think I could take this on, I mean, it wasn't anything super crazy.
Yeah, dive bar food doesn't sound like it's going to be, like, life-changing.
Sure, it's like a lot of fryer stuff,
Sure.
Bob burgers, hot dog, like some clams or something. But so he points, like, down towards, like, the entrees, I guess, and it was like a chicken cordon bleu. And, like, I knew the dish. Like, my mother used to make a chicken cordon bleu or some version of it, ham, cheese, like, roll up the chicken, bread it, whatever. And so he's like, what about this chicken cordon bleu? I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, all right. He's like, you got the job. I'm like, great. Like, pretty easy, right? So I'm in the kitchen, and this is literally my first time in a professional kitchen around fryer-laters, you know what I mean? Like, working in this, like, on a grill. It was just me. I mean, there's a microwave, there's whatever. So
How many people are in this kitchen?
no, it's just me.
Oh, just you?
Yeah, it's
so
literally
they needed a guy, and you just happened to show up that day.
That's it. Short order cook in this thing. And I think he was cooking totally when they found me. He was like, yeah, great. I can just sit here now.
This fucking guy's here.
And so one bartender, he's running this big bar, and there's all like daytime local guys just hanging out. And food is like coming through. Like, people want burgers, they want a chicken sandwich, whatever it is, chicken fingers, French fries, that kind of stuff. And then literally a chicken cordon bleu comes in the door. Like, I'm like, this is like insane.
Yeah.
Like,
Who's
so
ordering this?
bartender comes up. He's like, chicken cordon bleu. He's like, you know what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So, boom, find the chicken breast. I slice the chicken open, like breading it, slicing the ham, slicing the cheese. I'm building the whole thing. Comes back. He's like, what's up? Where's the chicken cordon bleu? Like, it felt like it was maybe 10 minutes, but it's probably way longer.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, oh yeah, it should be up like any minute. I'm like, I'm almost done. So he like leaves, comes back again, and I'm plating this thing up, and it's like this big. It's like a football. And on the plate, and he takes it. He's like, "What? Where'd you find this?" I'm like, "Find it." I'm like, "What?" He just runs out the door and brings it to the customer. He comes back. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Where was that?" I'm like, "I made it." He's like, he opens up the freezer door, pulls out like a hot pocket called chicken cordon bleu. He's like, "You put it in the microwave for 3 minutes or whatever, And I was like, right, got
right,
it.
exactly.
Meanwhile, the guy at the bar loved it, and and I loved feeding people. So like, I wasn't using the frozen. I was like, let me just make some food, and that was kind of it, man. They kind of let me do my thing. They didn't really care.
Yeah.
And I was having fun in there. I mean, it was just a crazy little experience. Across the street was a country French place called Indigo Moon. Great chef Adam Scott was in there, and he was another small kitchen. The guy was owner operator, running it himself. And he's like, "Listen, I'll put you on garde manger 2 days a week." So I'm like, "All right, cool." What? So now I'm working in another kitchen, and it was, and I just kept moving. Guy from New York, Sebastian Masco, came down. He opened up Bella's, which was really cool. This guy was like a pretty well-known chef in New York. The papers had read about him, and he was like doing this seafood, French sort of seafood-esque raw bar, whatever. And that guy hires me, and he's like, "Do you know how to open clams?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Totally lying.
Yeah.
I mean, like I could,
Of course.
like
Yeah.
if you gave me like all day to open up a couple of them,
Yeah.
but he's like, "All right, great, you're hired." Okay. And so they put me behind this beautiful raw bar, like little L-shaped raw bar with customers at it. Opening night, guy orders like a 300 piece raw bar set. You know, there's like crab claws, lobster, and this is like literally like it wasn't like I was practicing like shucking a couple like while I was there. Like it was like boom, I got the job. They came in 300 piece thing, and I'm like, oh boy. And I mean, talk about getting thrown into the fire. I mean, I couldn't have done it unless Chef came out and he started cracking it with me, and I was like probably did 1 to every like 10 he did, you know. And but I lived there for a little while, and I got good at shucking oysters and clams and stuff like that. You know, real fake it till you make it. I mean, I didn't have any culinary school training, and I was just working in kitchens, and I, again, just kept moving, did some front of the house stuff at one point at that restaurant, and then stayed in the front of the house, and then just hated it and wanted to be back in the kitchen and just making food. And
at any point, were you like, did you stop and be like, well, this was just kind of like a placeholder. I'm going to go back to chasing that, the finance dream.
Well, so the year out of work, I was going to look at a culinary school. I went to go look at FCI. So I took the ferry in from Atlantic Highlands to the city. And on the ferry, I get a call to come back to Wall Street. I finally got a call. And I was like,
Yeah.
So now here I am, literally a fork in the road. I'm like, what do I do? So I'm like, all right, let me think about it. And then I went to the culinary school, and it was like, you know, $40,000 a semester or something. It was like insane. This is years ago. I can't even imagine what it is now.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't have money for that again. I already went to college. Like, there's no extra. Like, that's it. That wasn't happening. And I just really didn't want that life, that Wall Street life. I didn't want to get up in the mornings and suit up and commute in. I hated all of it.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'm just going to keep doing this thing. And I just kept learning and working with different chefs and kept reading and whatever. Finance thing was like over.
Yeah.
I mean, now I wish I kind of went back and did it. It seems like I could have made a lot of money, but or that's in hindsight.
Yeah.
But you know, it was just a cool experience journey. I mean, like just kept cooking and trying to be better and better. You know, I can remember walking into some kitchens just being so nervous. And this is even with like 5 years experience. I was just like, again, it was just like, there was just so many levels to a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
From a dive bar to a gourmet station to like restaurants where everybody was like buttoned up and like apron, little hats and stuff like that. And I would walk, I couldn't even speak. I had so much anxiety in there, and I could cook, but I just couldn't speak. And like at the end of the day, when I leave, I had almost no voice. Like I couldn't actually still physically speak. I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
The word anxiety wasn't thrown around as much back then.
No,
for some
definitely
reason,
not.
right?
And back then, they gave less of a shit about it than they do now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
there was no acknowledging it.
yeah,
So you just kind of,
figured it out.
you figured it out. And like, you know, on the other side of that was like, I mean, I'm pretty anxious right now for some reason. It might be the coffee, but and then eventually, like, I just, for me, the path was always like, well, be better than the guy next to you, and like, just have the sharpest eye, just be faster, like cook faster, always have like whatever, just be better than anybody else in the kitchen. And then eventually, you know, you feel like you're better than everybody.
Yeah.
Any kitchen you walked into, you knew more. I had an experience where I worked in the city. It was a Michelin star chef from Dovetail, and he opens up a pop-up. And it was like this cool collaboration of like interior designers and musicians. And they took this pop-up space, and I was applying to Dovetail, but they're like, go do this other thing. So I was like, all right, like whatever. Like, I'll send me wherever you want. And they were tourneing veg in the kitchen, and the sous chef is tourneing this veg. And they look horrible. A tournée is like this little 7-sided football-shaped sort of like veg cut. You know what I mean? It's like very old school. And one of the restaurants I worked at, Nicholas in Middletown, which is now Barrel and Roost, that was the first thing on my station. I had 3 veg that had to be cut this way. And again, never did it in my life. You know what I mean? But I was, at that stage, I was pretty calm, and like I I had sharp knives, and like I just wanted to be really good at it, especially in that level kitchen. So I got good, and I had 3 veg on the station. And so when I go to New York now, after that experience, the guy's like, "You know how to tourne?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Here, tourne this veg." And I'm looking at his like crazy, and I'm like, "Boom, boom, boom." We cut them all up, and the guy offered me the job, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't want to do this really either. I just didn't want to be in New York and blah blah blah." I don't know where I'm going.
No, this is great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like learning about kind of like your paths. I think like that's really interesting because, I mean, we've had, I don't know how many chefs on the show, like, and varying levels of like, 10 restaurants in the state to like 1, or just like working in it, like that kind of stuff. And like, to me, it's always interesting to kind of see like what the paths are, because it's one of those professions where it's like, you're not going to go to like law school. You have to go to law school to be a lawyer. You have to go to medical school to be a doctor. You could do literally whatever the fuck you want, and then eventually kind of get yourself to being a chef, as long as you're doing like, whether you're learning however it kind of works for you,
right?
And like your path is super unique to you, and then obviously now you have this place. So like mention like some of these stories that you had. Like, was there at any point, because now you're like running a business, right? And like, were there points where you had maybe like guys that you worked for, people that you worked for, that kind of like, maybe not explained it, but kind of showed you like, okay, this is how you actually run a restaurant business rather than just being in the kitchen and cooking food? Because there's a huge difference whether you're just like tourneing vegetables or running a whole restaurant every night, trying to fill seats every night, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that lesson was not learned. And it wasn't even like on my radar. Like ultimately, I just wanted to be a chef in the kitchen and get on a menu at that point. So prior to this, I tried a little business. I was doing county fairs, and like I did 1 county fair, and I did 1 fireman's fair in Atlantic Highlands, and I was doing meatballs, and I bought a fryer and a little propane fryer, and I would bring it out there, and I set up a little 10 by 10 pop-up tent, and I hand painted a sign. It was literally like Chris's little lemonade stand at like these
5 cents a meatball.
Yeah, guys, like like it was cool because like I was making my meatballs and whatever, and you could pick the sauces. I think it predates the meatball shop's version of this, but like it was like something I had thought of, and I thought it was a great concept, and it was. But like I had no idea, like I wasn't good with my own money. Never mind, like trying to like
feel that
do the economics of this business. Like I was just buying anything I need, and I tried to sell it, and ultimately like I was between the fried fish guy and the jerk chicken guy, and I'm they got this like these big things with neon lights and everything, and I'm like this little tent with like a couple of string lights wrapped around.
Yeah.
And people were coming off of these huge lines and just coming to me and grabbing napkins and forks and stuff. Though I was like the condiment station.
Yeah. The mustard guy.
Right. Do you have any napkins? I'm like,
you got ketchup here, right? Like that looks, yeah.
Free with purchase of meatball. But no, so I wasn't really selling that well. I didn't know how to get the attention, and like I thought the product was good, but it didn't really matter. And I made a lot of money doing that. I probably lost money. I don't know, because I wasn't good at that part of the job. I mean, it wasn't really like my wheelhouse. Like I could prep it out and I can get it going, and I had the vision, but I didn't know how to do it. Tania, my wife, who's my partner in this business, that's her world. She had so much experience in restaurants, but a lot of it in the back end and the finance side. She had worked at the city, and she opened up all the meatball shops, and she worked for a company that basically did that kind of consulting, and she was consulting on her own. So when we teamed up, I mean, when I think about how I got here, I mean, it's not possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how you see it all the time. You see a lot of chefs so they can do they can cook, and then the other part falls apart, and like you need them both. Right. I don't know how you could possibly, I could never have done this without having her as a partner.
Yeah.
I would flop. I would fall on my face. Pretty much, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Cause there's so much that goes into it, cause like, obviously like there's the business side, which is like nothing happens back there without that. But then the quality and like what you're making, like all that kind of stuff is obviously important to make the business work, so it's like this circle that is literally unavoidable, whether you're doing a small pop-up or like running a whole restaurant chain, like the numbers have to work and the food's got to work.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you see guys that maybe like they're a team of one and they can do stuff, you know, like my friend Nick. I mean, Laporte is the burger buff. He does some cool stuff. I mean, and he doesn't have all that, you know, managing to do around it. And like, he's just kind of, you know, runs his own show. I mean, he's also like super dedicated and like type A and like he gets that stuff done.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, if that's me. I want to just focus on, you know, the food and the creativity and like, you know, I like the hospitality end of it. I just, you know, when it comes to sitting in front of a computer or paying bills, it's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah, which is fine.
Said nobody's, and I don't know if anybody's teaching that. You know, I don't even know if they teach it in culinary. I don't know how you gain that skill set. I don't know if it's like, I think people just try it, and again, you know, you see people really struggle in that, especially, you know, creative chefs, guys that want to be in the kitchen and just make food. I don't think it's like, you know, that. I think for me, that's always I was like, just want to be the chef. I wanted to work for a big company, and I just wanted to be the chef, and I wanted them to, you know,
Amy, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, that's a perfect time to take our break. So we're going to take our break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk all about Nettie's and kind of what goes on here, how it started, like everything like that. It's good? Cool.
Good for me. Good for me.
Great. So this is the Greens of the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Chris Calabrese at Nettie's in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. We'll be right back.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. Embark presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see Embark's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
Want to give your guests something they'll talk about for years? OMG Tarot delivers spot-on tarot card readings that will make your next birthday party, holiday party, team lunch, or girls' night unforgettable. To learn more, visit omgtarot.com.
I wanted to tell you about the crew over at Make Cool Shit. These are the magicians who recently gave our podcast a jaw-dropping makeover and shares our same Garden State attitude. Whether you're a fresh-faced startup or a seasoned business looking to shake things up, it's all about making your brand sizzle. We're not just talking about design, we're talking about a partnership in creating awesomeness, and I can promise you they can make that happen. Plus, their unlimited Cool Shit design subscription is a game changer. Unlimited creativity, one flat monthly fee, and none of that boring stuff. It's like having your own design superheroes on speed dial. Check them out on Instagram at WeMakeCoolShit or visit their website, WeMakeCoolShit.co.
We're so happy to announce our brand new partnership with the New Jersey Lottery. As their slogan goes, anything can happen in Jersey, and that is so true. Welcome to Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery.
All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We're here at Nettie's in Tinton Falls, New Jersey with Chris Calabrese. So first segment, we learned all about kind of your background in cooking, from finance to cooking, from dive bars to Tinton Falls, New Jersey here at Nettie's. So at the end of the last segment, we kind of were talking about like the business side and Tania and you and like kind of trying to make all this stuff work. So, like, what were the initial conversations like? And, like, what were you doing at the time where you were just like, you know what, let's buy this place and open it up? And how long has Nettie's been here?
5 years in November.
Okay. So, like, what were those initial things like? And were you receptive to it at first? Or were you just like, fuck that? Like, there's literally no way I'm doing that.
I mean, there's a bunch of all of that. I mean, we were looking for a space. We were in Jersey City, and we actually had a concept that was going to be a market. We just were like totally infatuated with these like little markets that were gourmet and like they were making bread or they were doing something. And we were in Jersey City, and it was just it was like kind of like that time where like Jersey City really started building up.
Yeah,
you know, like people were moving out of New York. People were just living in Jersey City, and it was filling up. And we were in this beautiful building, and the ground floor had a space, and we're like, let's go take a look at this space. Let's do this market in this, 800 plus, apartment complex. And it just was so expensive. And I remember like we kind of went down the road and we talked to Planet and we tried to figure the whole thing out. And it was like over $1 million to even get it there. And we were like, all right, no.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, we're from here. My wife is from here. We wanted to come back down, and we bought a house. That was first. And then we got married, bought a house. We came down here, and then we just had a realtor that was showing us some spaces. And honestly, this was like probably one of the first spaces we were shown. and Nettie's was Luigi's forever since 1958. It was built by Luigi Mendito. His son, Rudy, is our landlord now. He's 87, 88 now. So, like, I mean, this thing goes back. But Luigi built this place. The story is that he built this place as an Italian social club. Him and his boys would go hunting in the woods back here, back before there was anything in Tinton Falls. It was just a bunch of trees. They would go hunting for deer, and they would hang out at the bar and drink. We got here. I mean, this is fast forward 50 years plus later. I mean, this was like pretty much a dive bar. I mean, it was loved by a lot of people. There's arenas. People would bring their kids here and play. That played sports. They eat pizza and blah blah. So we could show them the space, and I look at it on the ad for it, and I'm like, nah, this place is not. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
no. And then we go like, let's just go check it out. So we go in here. I mean, I don't know, and it's hard to imagine what this place was like before. It's it's been Nettie's for 5 years now, but like it was pretty like standard dive bar. I mean, like tons of tchotchkes everywhere and pool tables and video games and like kind of had a weird smell. All those dive bar things. And neon lights and neon signs inside and Bud this and all sorts of stuff like that posters. But like I don't know, I got this like amazing sense of this place. It was like it just had like a soul that I just felt, and I didn't know the story yet about Luigi and the Italian Social Club, which like it felt like a place that Joe Pesci would like stomp somebody out in a Scorsese film,
like right on the foot thing on the bar,
right? Exactly,
yeah, curb stomp them,
right, 100%. And they were like, and then there was like this big round table in the back, and I just was like, this story was just in my head. I'm like, all the gangsters sitting around this table, like
cigarettes,
right,
playing cards, like drinking, and
that was it. I mean, and that's like besides food, like my true love, like that whole gangster film like era, like I loved it all. I grew up watching all that stuff, and so it felt great, and like I was like, all right, let's do this, like let's keep talking about it. I think the day we came to sign the lease, we're pretty close to the county dump here, which is crazy. And I'm not even familiar with the area. This particular corner, especially, like I never drove this far down. The parkway is like about a half a mile up the road the other way. So you just kind of jump on the parkway. I never really got on Shafto. Again, not from this area. So I wasn't really familiar with any of it. But we were coming here to sign the lease. And the dump like had this like awful smell. I mean, anybody's from this area like remembers what it used to be like. I mean, it's really been fixed, but it used to stink. And it was like a hot day, and I'm like, oh my God, we can't possibly take this restaurant. Like, could you imagine eating food, smelling this garbage? Like it's gonna be a disaster. Like, and I called Tom. I'm like, Tom, I'm not sure about this. So, like, I started to definitely get a little cold feet. But we just went along with it anyway, and
we'll figure it out.
We were like, we'll burn garlic, we'll like roast garlic and walking around the restaurant and stuff like that. I mean, and we actually did.
Yeah.
But we signed the lease. Me and Tania put all the work in to rip this place up. I mean, it was a ton of sweat equity put into this place. We designed it. It was our vision. We had a great builder that built some of this beautiful furniture. We tried to keep the aesthetic that was here and just restore it, I guess, back to its like maybe what it looked like in 1950.
Yeah.
That was like the kind of vision for it. I love red sauce joints, growing up, even like the pizzeria that I used to go to in Frio de Tilio's. It was like it wasn't just the pizzeria, it was like the restaurant version. And my family would go there, we'd sit around the round table, the white tablecloth, blah, blah, blah. It was just a fond memory, like raviolis and red sauce, like these cheese raviolis and red sauce. These were like the memories I had, and that was the vision for this restaurant. We started cooking food. I mean, it's sort of a blur, but I go through my phone sometimes and I'll see like the pictures from the start to finish. I mean, me with a jackhammer in my hand, busting up the floor.
Yeah.
Tania like scraping up tiles. Like it was pretty mad. I mean, and I honestly don't really remember the work at all. I just, I sort of remember when we finally opened the doors, like having very little people in here and all that stuff, and still feeling so proud, and celebrating every service we had.
Finally, like almost like kind of like working your way all the way to the top, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody thought we would make it here. I mean, right? We're kind of in a weird area. Like, I think people that, I guess I'm from like we're directly around here, hyper local. But anybody outside was like, "Where is this place?"
Yeah.
It looks like a truck stop, in the middle of this parking lot. And inside we restored it to be pretty beautiful. And I thought it was like a bit of an Easter egg. You pull up to the outside, it's this unassuming building, and then you walk in, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
beautiful lit up bar and all this stuff." I mean, so. Whatever, celebrate every service. We just started picking up from day one. I mean, literally every day was better than the next day. And we made it to the end of the year, and me and Tania are like, holy moly, like we actually did it. Like we didn't lose. Like we were going to make it, and then COVID hit. So, and we're like, we didn't know for sure what that was going to be about. Obviously, whatever, like everybody else, we closed down for like 2 weeks thinking like, we closed down for 2 weeks, and then we're all back to business.
Roll back, yeah, right.
Right, but that didn't happen, and it was a crazy 2 years. I mean, we just opened. I mean, we didn't know like nobody knew, and we weren't sure we were going to make it through. But I mean, just a testament to me and Tania. I think we just were like, let's just keep like thinking and moving, and we pivoted all the time, and we built this thing outside, and we had this huge parking lot, which now was an advantage, because some people only had a sidewalk and like a couple of tables, and we had this whole lot, and we got busier during COVID.
Yeah.
And the place. So when I say from the first day to today, we honestly just got busier, literally every day. I mean, through COVID and then up till now, and like. That's just where we're at.
Yeah.
And now we're just, just always working on honing it and figuring out like, to stay a bit relevant. I always feel like restaurants are a bit of a trendy sort of world, and not like in like a cheesy way. Like it's just like, food changes, evolves. This industry evolves, we just want to stay current to like what we love. I mean, this is definitely an expression of me and Tania, in this place.
Yeah.
And that expression sometimes just changes. I mean, we get bored. We just want to try something new. Sure. Like it's been like
you don't want your customers to get bored either. Like if they came 5 years ago and it's the same menu as it is today, they're like, okay, I know I like this, but like, what else you got? Like, what else is in the holster? Like, what else you got for me, kind of thing. And I think that's where that kind of stuff comes in.
Yeah, I think that also, like, it's some people want the same thing,
sure,
right? And it's crazy. Yeah. So, like, in my
balance.
In my head, I was like, there's going to be one menu here for eternity.
Yeah.
But really, the thing, besides the customers, is the cooks. The cooks don't want to have to cook the same food every single day. They're going to get bored and they're going to leave. And I really wanted to create a culture where we learn and we keep growing, and we, the chefs that leave here go out and do great things. So we want to keep everybody excited.
Yeah. Definitely. So what gets everybody excited? Like, what are like the heavy hitters? People come in here, like, what are like the top few things that they're always ordering, and like is a Nettie's staple?
I mean, we've made a pretty famous chicken parm. I love chicken parm.
It's one of my favorite foods.
It's great.
I think it's like the benchmark for like really any Italian place. Right?
You're right. If you walk in an Italian place and there's chicken parm in the if they can't do it, it's upsetting.
It sucks. Like it's very upsetting
for sure. And I've seen some of the lousier ones, and I'm very particular about how I want my chicken parm. I need the color to be thin, but like not too thin. It can't be like cardboard. Can't be obviously reheated, and all those things. And I don't like it too goopy with cheese. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. So. But we also don't want to do things. Well, the main thing is that with chicken parm, I can't stand the sound of the pounding of the chicken. Like that pounding, that hammering of like they go through a case of chicken breast. Like to do that is, I just don't have the head for it. So we have our own little, I don't care. You guys can steal the recipe. We grind chicken thighs, skin on chicken thighs. We grind them and we basically make a farce, and that becomes the patty for our chicken parm. So it's so soft. It's got all this chicken skin in it. It's just always juicy, and we don't use a lot of mozzarella on it. We mainly grated 24-month Parmigiano. So I don't know if that's a traditional thing. Again, this is just like something we feel just feels right for us, you know. And whatever the right or wrong way is, I don't really know. I don't think there's a lot of rules that I care about, and as far as food is concerned. And that's our chicken parm.
I really don't think there should be any.
I don't think so.
Whatever you want.
Exactly. I may not make the thing that you want in the back,
Yeah.
but you're allowed to do whatever you want on the table and mix it up and mix and match. And that's kind of the style of this menu too, right? I mean, it's a la carte. You can get some beans, some spinach, you get your ricotta, you smear it on the bread with the broccoli rabe, blah, blah. So you kind of create your own meal at the table, and I think that's cool too.
Yeah.
If you wanted to mix everything into one bowl, go for it.
Right.
I'm going to do it in the back, but you can do it. Chopped broccoli rabe is a big one. I mean, again, chopped broccoli rabe is just, I love broccoli rabe. I don't like the stringy stems. It's just not my jam. And so we chopped it kind of like in the world of like chopped spinach. And it's been super popular. I know a lot of people have been like, that's how I make my broccoli rabe now from here on out.
Yeah.
You know, there's less waste. We didn't cut the stems and throw them in the trash. Like we use everything. I mean, that's part of it. I think one of the rules for Nettie's is something that we always try to stick by, is that we make it everything in house, and we have to make it. We make our Italian sausage, the hot and sweet, which is also a very popular item here. We make the ricotta, the stracciatella, the mozzarella. We make it all. So anything we can make, we can make. We make obviously the pasta. We don't make spaghetti. We do like using dry pasta here when we can. And it's a house of spaghetti, so we kind of stay true to that.
Yeah.
There's so many dishes. It's hard for me to pick one.
Yeah.
Vinegar chicken is sort of a nod to chicken Savoy at the Belmont Tavern, or any vinegar chicken. I mean, there's so many versions. Chicken Scarpiello, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's just versions of this very vinegar-focused chicken.
Yeah.
And so we do a cool version of that. Breast, half a chicken, whole chicken. The thighs, the dark meat is cooked in schmaltz, which is chicken fat, confit, and then the breast is brines for 3 days, and then air dried for 2, and then pan roasted. So it's just a very juicy, crispy breast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my favorites, and it's definitely a popular dish.
For sure.
There's where do we go? Ravioli, the cheese ravioli hit the menu. You know what I mean?
One thing that we had when I came and had dinner with you that one night, and you had like that one special, that one time.
Yep.
The tomato raviolis.
Oh yeah.
Those things were one of the best bites probably of the year. And we've been, me and Chrissy and, like in our travels this year, we've been lucky enough. She's pissed that she never got to try those. But we've been lucky to have like several good bites and like a lot of good meals over the course of the year. But that one is definitely like in the top 5. Definitely 10.
All right.
Probably
all
top
right.
5.
All right. I like the first. Yeah, I like the top 5, but definitely 10. I'll take that.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a lot of bites. but yeah, like it was just like that was just so good, and like I like the vibe of just kind of like you said, you're at the table and like everything comes out, and you kind of like do whatever you want, and like it's like you were with your family, your friends, you kind of like all kind of doing the stuff together, like you would on Sunday, like with your family.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. That's definitely like the vibe that I think this place has. And I've been here like when we had like that was like a Wednesday night, and then we've been here on like a Friday night, and it's just like it's always the vibe, And I think that's really cool, because I think like Italian restaurants in general, like they always kind of like they want that, but it's like sometimes hard for them to kind of like make it happen.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I think just the way that you guys run it, the food, the style, the vibe, like all that kind of stuff, I think you kind of hit it, and I think that's really cool, and like a nice way to kind of have like that experience when you're going out, because like that's a big part of food too, is like the experience of it.
Yeah. They say like food memories are kind of like really what tied together. I mean, we started this conversation, I'll talk about Nettie and like eating that Sunday sauce. And like, obviously that's just love to me in some way. That's how I interpret it. And then we try to deliver that here. I mean, obviously it's a business, but like at the end of the day, if you sat down here with your family and ate this food, we will like to say here at Nettie's is like, when you're here, your family.
That's such a great slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just never heard that before.
Off the cuff.
That's pretty creative for you. No, it's great. And like obviously we're doing like the Red Gable stuff. We've talked about that on the show too. But like, are there like, as you guys have like gone through the first 5 years of this place and like doing different things, like obviously like Red Gables is like a new thing, sort of like 3 years. Like, are you like looking into the future, like looking for more, or just really trying to like continue to dial in what you're doing here?
No, I mean, I think I get a little bit bored. My world is to create stuff.
Yeah,
and
you strike me as a guy that can get a little bored a little quickly.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Like,
No.
I feel like I'm the exact same way. Like, if something's not, like, scratching me where it itches,
Yeah.
like, I'm out. Like,
yeah, I'm uninterested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what with the menu, it's like, I am so bored with this menu. Like, we have to just change. We just have to try something. That's just in this restaurant.
Yeah.
I think that we have some ideas, I mean, to do other things, but, you know, there's a lot of things. There's some fear that shows up. Like, when I think about that we did this restaurant, I don't know if I have the balls to, like, just jump into this. I don't know. Like, that's why it's a blur.
Yeah.
I don't remember how this whole thing started, like, at this place, but, like, I'm not sure I have the balls to, like, dive into a project like this. There's some fear. Red Gables is obviously one of the scariest things. We're so dependent on. There's so many moving parts.
Yeah.
The weather and it's such a big production to do. I mean, it's and I think, you know, your nerves start getting to you. It's crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's in the future. I know we're definitely thinking about some stuff. I don't really know if I have anything solid enough to even talk about.
Sure.
I do have a sense that, like, this industry is in need of it's not sustainable the way it is right now in a way. You know, I don't know if it's just the way the economy is, this post-COVID sort of time. I mean, I don't really know, but we have a great team, and we discussed just figuring out, like, well, what do you think? Like, what's another version of this? That's something that, you know, maybe just sort of changes the way we know it today. You know, what's another? I wish I could talk more about that. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I just have the question. I don't know what the answer is.
Right.
So we're just kind of looking at that, and, like, you know, you see a lot of fast casual with stuff that opens up. I mean, I think that's great. Just restaurants have gotten expensive. I think that's the problem, and I think, like, people having a tough time, like, justifying going out to eat. It's like a bit of a luxury.
Yeah.
And that's the post-COVID sort of restaurant world, I think.
Yeah. Everything.
It's
the
everything.
entire world.
Right.
You know, but no, I know that's a hard question to answer, and I appreciate you taking your best stab at it. But I mean, it's hard because, you know, if there's nothing, then that's whatever. But, like, I do, like, that's one of the things that I like about you is, like, there's, like, always looking for, like, something else. Like, what else can we create, do differently? And, like, that's, like, I'm, like, I would hope, I think that I'm similar, and, like, that's kind of why I do this. Right. And, like, add things to it and take things away, and, like, this doesn't work, we'll do something else. Like, this gets sucked, like, we'll do somebody else, like, that kind of thing. But no, I really appreciate you doing this with us today. So we're done. We made it all the way to the end.
All right, let's make some chicken parms.
Okay, cool. So do you want to hit them with the links or a social handle or anything?
Nettie's House of Spaghetti. There's some underscores there. I don't know.
We'll put them in the show notes.
Chef
People can
Chris
just
Calabrese. All right, that's cool.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
So people can just go click them. So we'll put those in the show notes. So Chris, thank you so much for doing this with us today. This was great. Appreciate you having me on. Excited for the chicken parm. And I'll make sure that I put greetingsfromthegardenstate.com in the show notes as well, so you can go check out all of our other episodes. This has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. We were here with Chris Calabrese in Tinton Falls, New Jersey at Nettie's House of Spaghetti. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.